Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Jean Umberto. In the previous video, I showed you how to set the content of HTML object or element straight from JavaScript using the inner HTML property. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can get the content which probably exists in your HTML object or HTML file and make use of it in JavaScript still using the inner HTML property. There is something that I want you to remember. This is almost the same thing I wanted you to remember in the previous video. However, the last line here, when we get, we don't use the assignment operator. Remember previously I said when we set, we need to use the assignment operator. This time I'm saying when we get, we don't need to use the assignment operator. So let us go ahead and see how that works in code. So this is the previous code that we wrote, and here we set. You can see we are using the assignment operator to set the value to these elements that we have selected using their respective IDs. So what we need to do is basically I'm just gonna come straight here, and I want to get rid of all this. I'm just going to remove that. I'm going to save that again. Now I'm just going to go back to that HTML page, and this time around what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some content in here. So if I have to go and run this code for now before I do anything, you can see now that that page is again blank, empty, because now I'm not setting anything from JavaScript. So what I want to do here, I want to come here and write the African history. So this is going to be the name of the book. For example, it's called The African History, and inside the paragraph I'll say well, I think I am what I am. Okay, so that is a message inside the paragraph, and both these messages are of course written in capital letters. It really doesn't matter. I just want to show you how you can get these values from JavaScript. So these values now exist. Okay, so you run the page, you can see the African history. That information was passed in here when the page was created. It did not come from JavaScript, it was written in HTML. And so we have, well, I think I am what I am. That is a paragraph message there. So what I want to do is basically get this information in JavaScript. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead here. What I'm gonna do is basically say document. That is the construct. You say document again, and then I'll say get element by ID, and again it's the same ID, book name, and I'll say dot inner HTML. So what I've done here is basically get the content. Okay, so this is a reference to that div, and I've fetched the content. So it's now depend what I want to do with this content. If I want to alert this message in the browser, for example, I could basically say alert. Okay, I can alert that message. I can say alert, and I'm just gonna go ahead and close the alert right here. And so now I am alerting this message, which is gonna be the value that exists in that particular div. So I'll go ahead and say save. Okay, I'll come back here and I'm gonna run this file. Now you can see in the alert I've got a message, the African history, which is exactly what we have from HTML. So I'll go back again here, and what I want to do is change the ID here, and I'll say P1. Now I'm making reference to the information that exists here. So I'll go back, save that file, and run. Now you can see, well, I think I am what I am. Okay, so that's how you get your content from HTML object or element. Let us move back to our code here, and I want you to observe one thing. This line here, line 3, the statement is quite long. Alert document.get element by ID p1.innerHTML. That is long. It will be easier for us to basically just write a variable and call it ptext, so that we can take this entire reference here, okay, and store it inside that variable here. So this program becomes easier for us or for somebody else who can come next time and read our code. So what we want to alert here is basically just ptext. So if we save this again, of course we've got the same data, which is, well, I think I am what I am. So what we've done here is created a variable, and to this variable we have assigned not only the reference to the object or the element, but also its content. So this variable is now of type the content, which is right in here. Now this is all good, however it's also kind of limiting. It's limiting the power of this variable or this object and what we can do with this object. And I'm not going to go into further discussion of what exactly is it that we can do with this, but imagine if you want to hide, or you want to animate this or change color of whatever is in this object. This is difficult because now this variable is not referencing the object, but it's also referencing the content, so which means it is no longer the object, but rather the content of what is in the object. So that is kind of bad. What we can do is remove this inner HTML here, so that this variable can only make a reference to the object itself, and therefore inherit everything that that object support. And when we want to alert, we can now alert the inner HTML of whatever is stored in that object. So now I'm going to go ahead and save, rerun this file. We still get the same thing, but now we can do so much thing like changing the style or hiding that element, or do so much with this particular variable. Okay, so that's basically how you get content. I'm just going to leave you with a short exercise. I want you to create a variable here and call it book, and I want you to assign it a reference, okay, to this particular object here, div id book name. And when this page is run, I want you to alert whatever is inside this object, which is the African history, instead of the message well, I think I am what I am. I want you to try for your own and exercise to get the message the African history when the page is run, of course in that alert box. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, where we are going to start talking about how to get values and how to set values inside form element.